Congratulations, you've decided to start a new chapter. You're going to switch jobs, you're going to find a new career path, and you're ready to tackle those interviews. Exciting times indeed. Until you think about the fact that you have to go through the interview process. And this is where many people feel a little bit like they're on shaky ground. The area that particularly stresses interviewees is the area of behavioral questions. Yes, that dreaded time you have to speak about yourself and move into storytelling mode. But don't worry, today I'm going to share the STAR technique, which is a foolproof methodology that you can use in every single interview that will help you perform at your best.
All eyes on me.
Hi, I'm Jane and welcome back to my channel. Please, as always, if you can subscribe and like, join our community and give me an idea of what you would like me to talk about and address in the world of public speaking. Let's dive straight in. The STAR method. It is very well known out there. It's very well understood. You'll know you're getting a behavioral question when you can use the STAR method. You'll know you're getting that behavioral question because it will be prefaced with wording like, describe a situation where, tell me about a time when, give me an example of. The moment you hear those very predictable entry points, you're going to know, I must use the STAR method. STAR method is simple and straightforward. I'm going to give you the 4 tips. But as always, before we get to the tips, I want to explain why does this even matter? Because if we don't understand why we're doing something, we're far less inclined to learn it. So the reason that we learn to get good at behavioral questions is it is a very good tool used by interviewers to find out more about you. So they present you with a situation, they ask you to talk about something that was usually a bit difficult, stressful, complex, and in the speaking thereof, when you're talking about it, they're assessing your behavior in the situation previously, and they're using that to predict how you'll probably respond to a similar situation if you join their company. Remember, it's all about cultural fit. Your resume is your qualifications, which you know are superb. You can do the job, but they are on the task to find out if you're a good fit for the actual culture of their company. And behavioral questions is when the deep digging starts. Let's jump right in with STAR. It's really very straightforward. The S stands for situation. And this is where you are providing context, where you are providing the details to explain the situation to the actual interviewer. So the first S is situation. Remember, you need to be ultra specific. This is not the time to be vague and fuzzy and furry. You need to be very detailed about the situation because you're trying to set the scene to say this was this precise scene and this is how I responded to it in this brilliant fashion. Okay, so the more specific you are about setting the scene, the more likely the interviewer is to be able to measure up at the end and say, wow, they did a great job. So setting the scene, creating the context is important. But remember, you're sticking to details, you're keeping it concise. The T stands for task. And this is the responsibilities you were tasked with. In other words, what was your role? What was expected of you, or what did you expect of yourself in order to address the situation that you've now set out on the table for the interviewer? So again, be very ultra specific about what your role is. Don't be vague, don't share it with other people. Johnny and I did this. Make it clear what was expected of you. Remember, only you are in the interview. The next one is A, and that stands for action. And this is your time to shine. This is where you share the actions that you took in order to sort out this difficult or complex situation. So here you share all your details, you showcase your skills to explain to them what you brought to the situation in order to get this fantastic outcome. Straightforward so far? Right. We've done STA, we're on to R. R is logically the result, and that is what was the result of all of this. And remember, this is your opportunity to brag, to boast. Now you get to say, I did all these things and I came out with this fantastic solution, arrangement, whatever it was pertaining to that situation. This is critical, that you really do boast about yourself. Put yourself out there in the best terms possible, okay? Bring the emotions into it. You were calm, you included people, whatever it is. Remember, you're really trying to promote yourself. It's you outside of the straightforward resume or CV. You can get the opportunity to boast. So now we have the 4 key steps, S, T, A, and R. They're straightforward, they're to the point. Let me emphasize, you need to remain concise. Think about it. If you take 17, 18, 20 minutes to answer one behavioral question, you are limiting how many questions the interviewer can ask of you, right? Because you're using up so much of the time. That's depriving the interviewer an opportunity to learn more about you. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to cover the topic properly, but not provide so much information that you run out of time. So it's essential to be concise. The best way, the homework for this type of behavioral question response, is to practice it like anything. You can't just listen to the tips and then think you're going to walk into an interview and trot these out. It's unlikely to happen. So go online and look up behavioral questions and then qualify it by whatever your field of expertise is. You don't want behavioral questions that are going to be asked of a nurse if you're in the world of IT research. So find the questions that relate to your field. There's so many online. Once you have them, pick a few that you would find more challenging, right? Because you don't want to be faced with that question in the interview. Rather practice it in the privacy of your own home. So find some of those questions that are a bit more challenging and then run through the STAR method to respond to each one of them, right? We're trying to build it up that we understand the cadence, the pacing, the follow through of the STAR method, and that we can think on our feet, because it's highly unlikely that even though you look up a bunch of questions, it's highly unlikely the interviewer is going to ask you one of those exact questions down to the wording. So you need to take things that you've practiced and on your feet be able to tweak them and change them slightly that they're appropriate for the question at the time, right? Whatever you do, do not be tempted to memorize responses. This never works out. Unless you're a Broadway actor, do not memorize lines. Why? Because you're going to end up falling back on them in an interview. And the problem is you're going to sound monotonous, robotic, completely over-rehearsed, and not terribly authentic. Remember, you're trying to be enthusiastic, passionate, excited about this job. You don't want to just be trotting out answers that you've practiced 50 times in your home office. You really want to be as authentic as possible, but you're going to run through them to learn how to structure those responses. It really is a flawless approach, and I've seen so many people succeed simply by being able to set themselves apart in this type of question. If you want to keep layering on the skills, this video will work really beautifully with what we're talking about now. Promise you, it all layers in together. And as always, please subscribe and like, and I'll see you back next week.
All eyes on me.